Hi, I'm Adam and welcome once again to South Wales Ghost Watch. And on today, as I probably mentioned last week, we're going to be talking about NASCAR lines. And on my show today I've got Lee. Hi Lee. And the question I wanted to ask you, Lee, the first question is, what do NASCAR lines symbolise?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, that's what the argument's raged about for a long time, since they were first stumbled upon, really, by a Peruvian archaeologist about 100 years ago. I mean, I say discovered them because obviously they'd already been there for since about the 400 AD, I think. There's some argument when they were built. But the argument is, what do they symbolise? And that's the whole bone of contention with NASCAR and the lines, you know, because these ancient people built these geoglyphs, which are these, you know, formations mapped out in the South Peruvian desert. It's a very desolate place, quite high up. So it must have had real significance for them to do this. Yeah. Because it wouldn't have been easy to do, not by any means. And they're usually animal in nature. I mean, spiders, monkeys, lizards.
And the hummingbird as well, wasn't it?
The hummingbird, yeah. And they can be vast. I mean, one, I think the well-known spider one is 600 feet in diameter. And so what people have wondered about is why, what's they there for? And there are a number of theories, okay, if you'll allow me to just run through a couple.
Yeah, cool.
I mean, one popular one in a sense is that they were, by some people interested in the paranormal, is they were created so they could be seen from above, okay? I mean, there's some arguments they could only be constructed by people who had access to flight, you know, and there's some argument about that because the people who created them, you know, didn't have plane technology either, plane technology or anything like that. So,
is it the hot air balloon? Is because that's the only technology they could have had at the time?
Yeah, there's some experiments like that have been, but there's some arguments whether or not they would have had a hot air balloon. You know, that's never been proven. Yeah. So, given that, you know, if they were created and they were to be seen from the sky, who would they have been seen by? You know, and bear in mind a lot of ancient people throughout the world had a belief in you know, in sky gods. You know, gods of one sort or another, whether real or mythical. You know, who would see these objects, these geoglyphs. You know. Yes. Yeah. That's one theory. Another is just they were just created in honour of people's gods, you know. Another is that they were a form of ritual magic, in the sense they were. It was hoped that by creating these massive geoglyphs, they would bring water, for instance, because obviously a very dry part of the world historically. And also another theory is that they were they are aligned with various constellations of the universe. Which is one of the strongest theories, and certainly, I mean, a recent study was done by a senior professor from Chicago, which seemed to show that the spider geoglyph corresponds very closely with the constellation Orion. Okay, yeah. And you know, that's very interesting because throughout the world, amongst ancient peoples, there's been what you could call an Orion cult. I mean, the 3 pyramids at Giza corresponds perfectly with Orion. The Hopi Indians also, you know, built monuments that corresponded with Orion. So it appears that the spider geoglyph also does. And some people, you know, you can bring in an extraterrestrial element that I actually disagree with. There's a guy called Eric von Daniken who first brought NASCAR to popular attention in the West, you know, and he said they were like runways for spaceships or whatever. Okay, yeah. I don't think anyone actually believes that now, and I wouldn't believe that. It's a bit far-fetched, isn't it? Yeah. I think it's, you know, I actually don't believe that, but that's just something to throw in as another possible reason for the existence of these amazing creations.
Okay, I mean, I understand that NASCAR created these lines so that they could be seen by the gods in the sky, or act as an observatory to point to the places where the sun rose or sun set in the solar system, which we discussed with Stonehenge.
Astronomical alignments, you know, that's certainly, again, as with Orion, there are other astronomical alignments, you know. So, I mean, Latin America is full of these you know, buildings or geoglyphs or pyramids, or you know, that that were built by various people to and they were aligned with various constellations in the universe. That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about the Nazca people? Do you know much about them?
We don't know a lot about them really, I think, to be honest.
Yeah.
All I know is that they obviously inhabited what's modern day Peru.
Yeah.
Certainly from around about or just after the time of Christ, probably. And they just seem to, like a number of historical peoples in the region.
And the conditions that they lived in was very hot.
Extremely hostile. Yeah, it was desert. Yeah, very.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And they just whether they just merged with the other populations. We don't know a lot about them. That's the interesting thing about them. We don't know a lot about them and why they would have gone to these lengths to create these these artificial images in this very hostile part of the world that could only be really appreciated from above. That's the truth. I mean, they can be seen from local foothills just about.
Yeah.
But to be appreciated, it's clear they were built to be appreciated from above. I mean, there's no other reason for there clearly is no other reason for them to be there. The argument is who above,
Yeah.
That's the thing, who and why, and that's the enduring mystery of Nazca and the lines.
I mean, for I understand, there's an element of water. I mean, they've been found in waterfalls as well, haven't they? The lines, the Nazca lines, so on the areas of water. One of the arguments is that they were part of ritual, to sort of to the gods. It would rain, would bring water. Yes, yeah.
That may be true. That may be the main explanation. Although, as I've said, the spider geoglyph does correspond apparently with the constellation Orion, but and there may be a mixture of reasons.
Yes,
it's possible, because a lot of these ancient Latin American cultures didn't have written history, so a lot of reasons why they would have done things would have been lost to us.
I mean, what are the figures did the Nazca draw apart from the spider, the hummingbird, and
llamas.
Oh yes, yeah.
Monkeys.
Okay.
Lizards.
All right.
Also, in recent years, excavations have revealed, I think in the last 5 years, excavations around the area have revealed another 100 geoglyphs. Okay. Not on the scale of the famous ones.
Yeah.
But a massive geoglyph building program was being undertaken by these, by these not very technologically advanced people. For what purpose? And I think that's the question. So yeah, a range of the existing creatures.
Yes,
I'm not aware of them creatures that didn't exist or that wouldn't have been known to local people. But it makes sense that they would maybe want to portray things that they knew. That's understandable, really.
Okay. Well, thanks very much, Lee, for coming on the show. And
thank you very much, Adam.
It's been a pleasure talking to you.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks very much. That's all we've got time for tonight, guys. And hope you all have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.